Awesome. Thank you. Good evening, judges. Thank you for the time. I heard Addy said at the beginning of the event that he doesn't take very many notes and he doesn't really need notes. But I guess that was the case that is not usually the case for us financial analysts on Wall Street. Today, what I have here is called Smarter Note. That is an AI-driven note-taking software that will help financial analysts and other professionals increase their focus and efficiency during earnings calls and other calls. The product is focused on instilling AI and machine learning in a financial analyst's note-taking process, where sometimes which goes up to 80% of the job, depending on listening and gathering complex financial information on earnings and other calls. I am Suyash Gupta. I'm a young equity research analyst at a hedge fund called Azora Capital in New York. As an analyst, I've experienced several pain points in my note-taking process, and here are some for you. I'm jumping from one call to another. For example, from Tesla, which is an EV company, to an Amazon, which is an e-commerce giant. The process of shifting mind spaces from one call to another makes me miss important information that is spoken on the first few minutes of a phone call. Second point, which is I think very important to focus on here, is during the call, I'm multitasking. I'm listening and focusing on the pitch and sentiment of the speaker, typing and communicating with the CIO to make trades. Hence, the quality of the information drops dramatically while note-taking. Finally, after a call, I must spend an extra 15 to 25 minutes to organize my notes each time. And currently, interconnection doesn't even exist between notes. My notes exist as a standalone entity, and that is not how equity research works. To give you a sense of the solution and the wireframes here, here's a slide. I've sourced this picture from WebSync. Smarter Note will create live transcripts, as you can see on page 1 on the left, for all calls and will highlight important information that the software wants the note taker to pay attention to. Seeing these highlights, the analyst will just click and get that phrase on their notepads on the right, without even typing a word, thus increasing the focus on the call. The analyst will finally be all ears to the speaker. Post the call, the software will organize the notepad topic-wise, making retrieval faster and saving 15 to 25 minutes each time for an analyst. With industry-wide coverage, the software will point to information that 10 analysts found this phrase very important as compared to 2 analysts who found this other phrase extremely critical. Finally, the market opportunity for the product. Today, we as a company spend $7,200 per user on a note-taking software. And all it provides us is basic Word document to manually type in notes with some security and emailing functionality, of course. I feel internally exploited when I found out that we were paying $7,200 per user. Pricing the software, pricing Smarter Note at $100 per month creates a $600 million revenue opportunity for Smarter Note. In the short term, I hope to roll out the product to financial analysts and over the longer term to doctors. I believe we can create a checking system here for prescriptions and analyze doctors' diagnosis in a very efficient way that will help solve misdiagnosis in a very efficient manner. My goal is to pick up those high-ticketed subscriptions as my first short-term go-to-market strategy for financial analysts, and then roll the product to doctors, and finally to each professional or student who takes notes. This is Smarter Note, and thank you for your time today.
Thank you. Stephanie, would you like to go first, please?
Yes. So your initial target market is financial analysts. How big is the market? And also, please tell me about your market expansion plan.
Right. So currently, the United States has about 500,000 financial analysts working within the industry. So that's each user that we can acquire over a timeline. And your second question on market expansion, my strategy here is I have financial research experience and I work at a hedge fund right now. And over time, I've developed relationships with a lot of different buy-side and sell-side firms and investment banks to which I can reach out to on a personal level in order to expand our market and get this product out.
So have you interviewed any of those financial analysts to use your solution? If so, did they
Thank you
like
for
it?
asking this.
I mean, you
Yep.
yourself is a financial analyst, so.
Exactly. I want to make it, I want to help the flow to understand that the product is pre-development right now. It's not live and nobody has used it, but I have talked this product and the idea with a number of analysts within our firm and outside our firm. And I have received positive feedback in addition to more ideas as to what features that could be added, and couldn't do justice to those features within a 3-minute pitch here, but tons of new features that were advised that could be added to the software here.
All right, thank you.
Martin, would you like to go next, please?
Sure. Yeah, thank you so much for the presentation. I'm curious, you mentioned the pain point was taking accurate notes and the fact that you're on call after call and you have to multitask. If you drill down deeper though, is the main pain point the urgency of trading during these calls? And if so, are you trying to, I guess, gain a competitive advantage by getting clearer notes to your portfolio managers quicker? Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah, that does. Thank you for the question. The pain point is not really making trades within these calls, but the pain point is really taking accurate notes and important information that you can incorporate into your models later on, right? Because on these calls, it's harder, like when you're doing different things, I'm typing, I'm also communicating with my colleagues as to what the information's coming. And there's a lot of different aspects that I'm paying attention to that I sometimes not able to get clear, concise, and precise notes, right? So using this software, I'll be able to have accurate information, which I can include in my models to make better predictions. And if I can talk here about a little feature that I also talked about in the pitch, that once we have these notes of all these analysts, we will be able to see on the back end, like what analysts are picking which phrases. Let's say 16 analysts picked up revenue, like a phrase, for example, as compared to 2 analysts who found another phrase very important. So that will increase your, as an analyst, your efficiency and your perception of these calls as to are you getting to that information or not.
Got it. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you for your presentation. I recognized in your medium term, you highlighted medical, and I'm curious about how you see your solution comparing against 2 very different solutions in medical, one being Nuance Dragon, and the second being Scribes.
Thank you for the question. I apologize. I don't have familiarity with the 2 products that you talked about. My focus is on financial analysts first, so I haven't really dug down deep on the healthcare side. But some things to mention here on the panel is, I think bigger problems, like my family's full of doctors. My parents are doctors, so I kind of have a background in that. What I'm trying to say here is when a doctor is taking notes while listening to a patient, studies say that his or her diagnosis is worse, or like he misdiagnoses the patient as compared to when he's not taking notes. So with this supported AI supported software, he will have the ability to take those notes in addition to being like not distracted and not having the risk of misdiagnosing the patient. I read an article, I think 2 days ago, which said most Americans get misdiagnosed once or more in their lifetime. So and that's like a big problem that goes on, that most people get misdiagnosed once or more in their lifetime. By having these notes, we can compare on the back end if like one patient's talking about some of the symptoms and then the doctor prescribes a specific prescription, then on the back end, if there's another patient in another location, we can compare those notes and see how the prescriptions went out, and maybe send a check to the doctor that, like maybe this medicine you're prescribing is not the right thing. Just sending a check as a notification to the doctor that these are the things that maybe like you prescribed in the past or other doctors are prescribing for these kind of symptoms, gives them a check and help them to not misdiagnose the patient.
And we have time for one more question.
Can I ask one more question?
please.
At the doctor's office, I guess, like nowadays, voice, they use voice recognition technology, right? You know, some of the big hospitals, for instance, in Korea, they use voice recognition kind of a technology where doctors, they don't need to take notes. So they solely focus on their patients. So you think you could combine those voice recognition technology with your solution? Would it be better? Or you understand my question, right?
I think, yep, I do. I think that's definitely an avenue to think about and explore as the development phase rolls in and as the product gets ready for launch. So I definitely agree that voice recognition could be something that could or would be included in the software, and it would make the product even more of a value proposition to the customers.
Thank you.
Thank you, Suyash.